John Finneran, South Bend Tribune. This is for all the young ladies. Can you just give us a quick thought about, how long are you still living off of what happened last night? How long it took you to come back to earth after the way that game ended?
Do you want to start that, Jewel?
We're still talking about that in the ride over here. Just everything that kind of went into that game and just the emotions and everything. So I think that's a game that you can't really forget. It was a great game for women's basketball, and we're just so excited of, how we played and how we fought back.
Do you have a comment for that, Taya?
Yeah, same thing as what Jewel said. We were still talking about everything just on the way over here, and there were a lot of emotions in that game, and it was a great game. It was a battle, and I think at this point, obviously now we're just trying to come down from that and focus on what we need to do now.
Yeah, like Tay and Jewel just said, just a lot of emotions, a lot of highs and a lot of lows in that game, but I'm just really proud of how this team responded and how we stayed tough throughout the game.
Yeah. We'll take the next question here.
Coach, Al Lessar with South Bend Tribune. Brianna Stewart is a great challenge. How do you plan on defending her?
Well, she is a difficult matchup because of her size and her ability to play on the perimeter and on the inside. So we've got a couple of ideas that we're going to try. I don't think anybody's been very successful with her this year. She didn't have a great game against us last time, but I would say that was more her than our defense.
Down here in front.
Good morning, Rick Wilson, LitchfieldCountySports.com. Coach, is probably not by you guys because she had such a good game against you guys last time, but Morgan Tuck had another big game last night. Is she somehow, which would seem impossible for UConn, is she somehow overlooked on that team?
I was asked that question the other day in the press conference, and my answer was that it's disappointing that the media decides ahead of the season who the best players are going to be, because I think she is their second best player. I thought the game that we had with them, she was the best player on their team. She really did so many great things. She is incredibly overlooked on that team.
Richard?
Yeah, good morning. Richard Deitch, Sports Illustrated. This is for any of the players other than Brianna, because she hasn't played UConn. How much do you enjoy playing them, or do you not enjoy playing them, and why?
Do you want to start that, Jewel?
Sure. I like playing UConn. It's definitely a learning experience, winning and losing against them, whatever it is, you learn so much, and it really just, I think it's just good. Every time we played them, it's always been a good battle, and that's what you want from women's sports.
Question back here.
Joey Knight, Tampa Bay Times. Coach, what impresses you the most about Morgan Tuck of all her abilities?
I think it's her versatility because she can go inside and out. She's really worked on her perimeter game. She's tough to defend around the basket, but you've got to guard her at the three-point line. And they have so many weapons that you want to try to find somebody that you don't have to guard, and she would be the wrong choice if you decided not to guard her.
Question in the back.
Kurt Rollo, UND.com. Coach, can you talk about growing this team, especially since the UConn game, and just what have you done to replace the All-Americans you lost and get them back to the Final Four?
I think we've had two big areas of growth. The first would be in our leadership. I think that Jewel has really done a great job of taking over a lot of the leadership, and I think Lindsay Allen has really grown as a point guard who is much more vocal this year than she was in the past. She's really done a good job of talking to the team, and I think Jewel has taken the times when we needed somebody to kind of rally us. She's gotten them all together. And I think the second area is Taya and her leadership with the post. She has become a mentor to the post. She's only a sophomore, and we're expecting so much from her, and she just continues to deliver. She's been our steadiest player all year long, and I think it's because of her that the whole post, our whole post game has really improved.
Down here in the front.
John Finneran, South Bend Tribune. Michaela, you've played UConn a lot, and your impressions of the last game that you played back in December, and also Debris, you didn't play in that game, but you were on the bench. And tell me what you saw from that game.
Well, we're definitely able to compete with them, and we're able to compete with them. So just tomorrow night playing good defense, definitely.
I think, I remember in the beginning of
the first half. I thought we played really well. I think that the second half, I think we let players get off, especially Morgan Tuck. And, in that game, we weren't really focused on her, and she really made us pay for that. But I think our offense kind of, disintegrated. And if we're not playing well on offense, I don't think it translated well to our defense. So that's what I think about the game.
Rich.
Rich Elliott, New London Day. Muffet, Brianna obviously didn't play in the first UConn game. How different is this team with her in the lineup?
Well, she's our leading rebounder and one of our top 3 scorers, so I think she makes a difference in our team at the defensive end with her rebounding, her presence of shot blocking, and the way she can run the floor. I think that she adds a lot to our team. I think that we are a much better team with her on the floor.
Kurt.
Kurt Rallo, UND.com for Jewel Lloyd. Jewel, can you talk about embracing the challenge of leadership? What were the important lessons you had to learn, and how do you think you've grown and developed into that role since the Connecticut game?
It makes it easy when you have great teammates and great coaches, and everyone kind of believes in you. And I've been learning from them as well. So we've been learning from each other, and it's easy when you have, unselfish players that want to learn and are able to just help you out when you need it. So, I give credit to my teammates and coaches for that.
Richard, yeah.
This is from Lindsay. Lindsay, this is an intense rivalry, maybe the most intense in the women's game. When you're on the court, how much talking is there between the two teams?
There's not much talking. We both have tremendous respect for each of our programs, and they don't talk much. We don't talk much, and we just go out there and just let the game speak for itself.
Question right here.
Perch of the Chicago Tribune. Muffet, does it feel good that a player like Madison Cable, who's contributed a lot over these 4 years without getting big numbers, a lot of recognition, now is part of Notre Dame legend forever?
I thought the greatest thing about the game last night was that the 2 people that really were stars for us down the stretch were Madison and Hannah, and 2 that have come off the bench all year and given us a great lift, brought a lot of energy, did so many great things. So I think for them to have that feel-good moment, I don't think any of us up here could be happier for them.
Richard?
Jewel, you and Brianna are generally considered right now the 2 best players in the game. Do you have do you feel any individual rivalry with her, even though your games are different and your positions are different?
Not at all. Like you said, our positions are different. I have a lot of respect for her. We're friends off the court. It's not about a one-on-one matchup. It's about team basketball. So, it's Notre Dame versus UConn.
Kurt?
Taya, can you talk about having to be a mentor and a leader as a sophomore for 2 freshman posts, and what has helped you develop yourself and them to become a Final Four team?
I think I was really lucky to have 2 amazing senior leaders last year, like Ace and Ariel. And I learned so much from them. And I think being in the experience that I was in last season, playing in the Final Four and having to contribute as a freshman, I think that I learned a lot from that. And I was kind of forced to grow up. And I think that I really tried to embrace that role, even though I'm still really young, just being able to use those experiences and help them out, Bree and Catherine. So, it's just kind of something that I've had to do just for the betterment of the team. And I'm just happy that I can help them out any way I can.
Question right down here.
Jewel, how much has last year's loss in this spot to UConn provided motivation for this team? And is there a sense of unfinished business going into tomorrow night's game?
Anytime you lose any game, you always are motivated to win and try to figure out, what steps you need to take to, finish the goal. But that's last year. It's a whole different season, different team. So we're just, really lucky and blessed to be in the opportunity that we have to, fight for another national championship.
Question back on the aisle there.
Jim Fuller, New Haven Register. For Brianna and Lindsay, can you explain the emotions of walking off the court after fouling out and then watching what transpired and for the last couple of minutes of the game when you can't do anything about it?
There's just a range of emotions, a lot of highs, a lot of lows. I think we were both pretty disappointed when we fouled out. the call could have gone either way, but we were just really disappointed. And our teammates kept telling us, they kept believing in us that we were fine, that they were going to close the deal for us. And we have really unselfish and just really passionate teammates. It eases that nervousness a lot more. So we're just really fortunate to be in this position that we are right now.
I agree with everything LA said.
Thanks, Maria.
And I mean, my teammates, as soon as I found out, they're like, we're going to get you to the Tuesday game. So, I mean, they're just so encouraging. And on the bench, I was just cheering so loud for Maddie and Huff. So it was still good.
Richard.
Muffet, because you've played them so many times and seen them so many times, when you're scouting them and evaluating them, is it different than another opponent because you have so much familiarity with them? And if it is different, specifically, how is it different?
Well, I think it's a little different just in that we don't have to worry about learning the numbers and the names. We know them so well. And I think our offenses are pretty similar, so we run a lot of the same stuff. So it does make it easier to understand the scouting report. At the same time, doesn't make the game easier, but the familiarity, I think, helps us in a lot of ways. I don't think we have the intimidation a lot of teams face when they play UConn.
Question right here in the middle.
Lindsay, Al Lessar, South Bend Tribune. After the weekend you had last week in Oklahoma City, how did you get through the frustration? Looked like everything was just nothing flowed last night. How hard was it to just try to get in the flow of the game?
Yeah, I think it was really tough. I think South Carolina did a great job of just making us uncomfortable and not letting us get into our offense and get into the flow of the game. But I just put trust in my teammates. They kept believing in me no matter what happened. And, when I found out, they just told me everything's going to be fine. We're going to get the win. And I'm just really just blessed and fortunate to be able to make it to the national championship.
Question right down here.
Brianna, I know it was an early season game against UConn, but how difficult was it for you to miss that game, and how excited are you to play against them tomorrow night?
It was definitely difficult to miss that game, and along with the other 2 games I missed with my team. And I mean, I'm so excited to play tomorrow night, and so excited to be out there with my teammates as well.
Question right down here in front.
Tim Gaffney, LitchfieldCountySports.com. Jewel, the runs in last night's game with your game, UConn has their runs. How do you avoid that when UConn might be up against Team 10, where it tilts to 20 or it goes back in the other way? How do you prevent those runs?
I mean, the basketball's a game of runs, and it comes down to, who wants it more. The 50-50 balls, rebounding, I'm playing with passion, and that's what you're going to see tomorrow night.
Coach, can you elaborate a little more about how you grow leaders? I mean, is it within them and you just kind of wait to see it emerge, or do you do things to speed up the process?
I think it's a little bit of both. I definitely think there's leadership traits that some players have that others don't have as much. I think the willingness to put yourself out there, to be vocal, to say what needs to be said, not just to go with the popular opinion. Sometimes people really need to hear an honest answer. And we do a lot of things. We have a great leadership workshop at Notre Dame Rosenthal Leadership Academy that a number of our players go through, so that's something separate from basketball that a lot of our student athletes do. And then we do a lot of things just to encourage the way they talk to each other, and we listen really hard at how they talk to each other and kind of give them some different scenarios of how that could have gone.
Question in front.
Jewel, John Finner from the South Bend Tribune. You weren't aware of it at the time during the game, I'm sure. Tom Cruise was in the house, the star of Mission Impossible. Do you think it was kind of appropriate the way the game ended last night?
Yeah, we didn't find out till after the game that he was there, and obviously having someone like of that caliber at your game is pretty cool. And I mean, that was a great ending, to a really great game. So, it was awesome.
Richard.
No Tom Cruise questions here. Muffet, throughout the season, you are essentially the favorite in every game. This is the one game where you'll be considered an underdog, and a lot of people will pick your opposing team. What is that like to basically be a favorite, to be the team that everybody goes for? You're the biggest game for everybody all year, but in this game, your team, there's sort of a reversal here.
I love being the underdog. I always have. I think it's a great position to be in. There's absolutely no pressure on us. The pressure is all on UConn. So for us, we can just relax, go out, play our game. Nobody expects us to win. Nobody's picked us to win. So we can really have a very loose attitude going into the game in terms of being relaxed.
Yeah, this team, we like to have fun, and I think we play our best game when we're loose, and we're smiling and just having fun. And, like, that's how you play when you're at the parks, with your friends. You're smiling, you're enjoying the game, enjoying the moment. So we're definitely just excited to be here.
We'll take one more question here.
Early this morning, Muffet, Rick Wilson, LitchfieldCountySports.com. Early this morning, Gino described himself as feeling nauseous about playing against you guys Tuesday night because you're so hard to play against. How would you describe the way you feel?
I agree that we have so many similarities. We've played each other so much, and I think it's become such a great rivalry that it's a game that I really enjoy because it's the two best teams right now going at it and battling, and they're a very difficult team to match up with. They do present a lot of problems for us defensively, and you have to be able to withstand their runs and try to make some of your own, but overall I think it's a great game for women's basketball.